Okay, you've probably heard the term AI agents popping up just about everywhere lately. It feels like the new big buzzword, right? But there's a lot of confusion about what it actually means. Are they just a smarter kind of chatbot, or are we talking about something totally new? So let's dive in and really separate the hype from the reality, because this isn't just a small step forward. It's a huge shift in how we're all going to interact with technology. To really get a handle on what an AI agent is, I want you to think about this question for a second. Is the software you use every single day more like a vending machine, or is it more like a hotel concierge? This simple analogy, honestly, it's the key to understanding this massive change that's already happening. All right, so let's break this down. A vending machine is, well, it's rigid. You press B4 because you want a soda. If B4 is empty, you get nothing. Game over. It can't adapt. A concierge, though, they understand your goal, you're thirsty. If they're out of that one specific soda, they'll suggest juice, maybe some water, or even point you to a great cafe down the street. And that right there, that's the heart of an AI agent. It gets your intent and can creatively solve problems to reach your goal. So let's be super clear here. This is a major leap forward. We're not just talking about a smarter chatbot. An AI agent is really defined by its ability to do things, to take action in the world, not just talk about things. Here's the more formal definition for you. An AI agent uses a large language model, like GPT-4o or Claude, as its brain. And this brain lets it do a few key things. It can perceive what's going on around it, it can reason about what it sees, make a plan, and then, and this is the part that changes everything, it acts on that plan, all on its own, to get something done. So what really makes an agent different? Well, first, it's got autonomy. It can make decisions without you having to hold its hand every step of the way. Second, it's independent. It can actually use other software and APIs, acting like your personal assistant across a bunch of different systems. And finally, it's adaptive. It learns from what works and what doesn't, so it gets smarter over time. Okay, so how does it actually do all this stuff? It all comes down to a really simple but powerful cycle that turns raw information into real-world action. This is basically the agent's core engine. First, it senses the world. It takes in data. That could be your text message, a new email, or info from another app. Then it thinks. It uses its LLM brain to make sense of that data and break a big goal down into smaller, manageable steps. And finally, it acts, carrying out those steps using whatever tools it has access to. Now, that think step is really where all the magic happens. It's not just one thing, it's a combination of a few powerful pieces all working together. At the absolute center of it all is the LLM brain. This is what provides the raw intelligence, the ability to understand what you're asking, reason through a complicated problem, and come up with a strategy. It's the cognitive engine that drives this whole machine. But look, a brilliant brain is pretty useless if it's just trapped in a box. That's where tool integration comes in. Tools are basically the agent's hands. They're what connect its thinking to the real world. They let it check a database, send an email, or book a flight. They turn decisions into actual, tangible results. And finally, for any of this to work on a task that takes more than one step, the agent needs memory. Short-term memory helps it keep track of what's happening right now, in the current conversation. Long-term memory lets it learn from everything it's done before. Without memory, every single request would be like starting from scratch. So you can see how these three things, the LLM brain for thinking, tools for acting, and memory for context, all have to work together to create a system that's truly intelligent. Okay, now let's see how all those pieces come together to unlock one of an agent's most powerful features, its ability to make plans all by itself. This quote just nails the key difference from old-school automation. In the old systems, a human, you, had to spell out every single step of a workflow. With an agent, you just give it the goal. It looks at the problem and figures out its own step-by-step plan to solve it. Now, you might be thinking, autonomously planning sounds a little risky. And you know what? That's a fair concern. But autonomy doesn't have to mean a complete lack of control. For really critical tasks, you can put a human-in-the-loop step, where the agent has to show you its plan for approval before it's allowed to take any action. So far, we've mostly been talking about a single agent. But what happens when you get a whole team of specialized agents working together? That's when things get really interesting. This chart does a great job of showing the difference between a lone AI agent and a whole agentic system. An agent is like a solo worker, focused on one specific job.
An agentic system, on the other hand, is a coordinated team of agents all working together on a bigger, more complex goal. The behavior shifts from just following a list of steps to being strategic, adaptive, and truly collaborative.
A great way to wrap your head around this is to think about how we build software today. You don't have one person who does everything, right? You have a team of specialists. Well, an agentic system can work exactly the same way. For instance, you could have a product manager agent whose job is to define all the project requirements. It then hands those specs off to a developer agent to write the actual code. And finally, a QA agent comes in and tests the code to find any bugs. Each agent is an expert in its own field, and together they can build something way more complex than any single agent ever could alone. Okay, so what does this all actually mean for the real world? Why is this technology causing such a stir, especially in the business world? Here's the problem a lot of companies are facing. The modern workplace is kind of a mess of disconnected software. Your data is trapped in, on average, over 230 different applications that don't talk to each other. And that, as you can imagine, creates some massive headaches and inefficiencies. And this is the solution that agents are promising to deliver. We're moving away from reactive tools that just sit there and wait for us to ask a question. We're moving towards proactive systems that can go out, navigate all that complexity, connect those siloed apps, and actually get work done for us. And look, this isn't just a theory. Let's look at a real massive number from the world of finance. 65%. That's the percentage of customer support questions at Robinhood that are now handled from start to finish by AI agents. And they aren't just answering simple questions. They are independently doing the work, looking up account details, processing requests, and actually resolving issues, which at that scale directly impacts the bottom line in a huge way. So we have to end with this question. We've established that these systems aren't just hype. They can understand what we want, they can plan complex actions, and they can even work together to achieve big goals. If that's really the case, what does this truly mean for the future of how we work? The shift from reactive tools to proactive partners is already here, and it's a question we're all going to need to answer.